Hello, dear viewers. Glad to see you again on Football Planet, your show dedicated to football news on Africanews. Here's what's coming up. In summary, the dispute between CAF and the Ivorian Football Federation over the hosting of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations is over. The Ivorians finally accepted the rescheduling of the calendar and to host the AFCON 2023 and gave 2021 to Cameroon. We talk about it on the program. The Junior Africa Cup of Nations, the race to find Zambia's successors, opened on Saturday in Niamey, Niger, and the host country is looking sharp, while Nigeria and Senegal are making their debut in the tournament, which continues until 17th February. African Champions League and TP Mazembe decimating Club Africain 8-0. A record in the group phase of the tournament, for which you will have all the results and rankings on the show shortly. Welcome to Football Planet, and this program will start with the African Cup of Nations and the end of the dispute regarding the next two editions. Yes, you probably heard it on our channel. Ivory Coast finally caved into a CAF demand regarding the 2021 AFCON following a visit by the CAF president last week. The Ivory Coast Football Federation agreed to leave the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations to Cameroon, marking an end to a disagreement that has somewhat tarnished the image of the governing body of African football. Here's Philemon Mbale Nsongan and Serge Kofi.
All is well that ends well, some will say. After a series of modulations characterized by frustration, reproach, and even threats, the dust finally settles as to the hosting rights of the 2021 AFCON competition. A final agreement reached between the continent's football governing body, Cameroon, and Ivory Coast. After the long crisis that almost plunged African football into a pool of mud, it took a meeting between the president of CAF and the Ivorian head of state for the Ivorian Football Federation authorities to finally let go of the 2021 hosting rights, surrendering it to Cameroon after the Central African nation proved incapable of hosting the 2019 edition. The 2023 AFCON will now be hosted by Ivory Coast. Criticized for the delay in managing this crisis, Ahmad and his team managed to get back on tracks thanks to Alassane Ouattara's interventions, something which sounds politicized to critics. But who really cares, so long as a favorable ending is achieved?
And then remember that following this agreement, the Ivorian Football Federation will, without surprise, withdraw its complaint before the Court of Arbitration for Sport, to the delight of everyone. Joining us now is my Ivorian colleague, Patrick Guite. Thank you for giving us this interview, Patrick. So how can we understand this U-turn by Ivory Coast, who seemed uncompromising on the question of hosting AFCON 2021?
So already it should be noted that since CAF, that is, some officials of the African football body, including its president Ahmad and its vice president Constant Umari, indicated the shift of the competition from 2019 to 2021, at no time did CAF officials approach the Ivorian officials, and that was perceived as a lack of respect here in Ivory Coast. But in any case, the president of CAF, Ahmad, arrived in Abidjan. He went into negotiations with the president of the Republic of Ivory Coast, Mr. Alassane Ouattara. He spoke of solidarity and said that Cameroon was at the verge of losing all of its investments already done in the organization. So based on this solidarity indicated by Mr. Ahmad, the president of the Republic of Ivory Coast decided to accept the concept of slippage and instructed all the other bodies that were working for the organization of the AFCON 2021 to accept it as well, calling on all to work so that 2023 will be an exceptional celebration here in Ivory Coast.
How was the decision received in the country by the average Ivorians?
Very disappointing, because Ivorians think we could be ready by 2021 and many are disappointed, especially on social media. But at the same time, they consolidate this desire for solidarity. Because imagine that Ivory Coast had to refuse to host the 2023 competition. This could spike diplomatic conflict with Guinea, a neighboring country. So the president decided to keep good relationships with all these countries, including Cameroon. So it is true that he had a certain disappointment, but at the level of the ruling class, I think that people understood, since the Ivorian Football Federation met with the various club presidents, who in turn understood the approach of the Ivorian state, and then the Ivorian Football Federation only follows the instructions of the state, which organizes the competition by providing the means to organize it.
From a sporting point of view, isn't this a good decision after all, given that the current team is in a transitional phase?
Anyways, we take time to do things. It is always good at the level of the infrastructure construction because we will take time to do things correctly, not in a hurry. In any case, the President of the Republic has instructed COCAN and the FIF to do everything possible to ensure that things are ready by December 2020. So I think that if everything is well done, Ivory Coast will be ready in 2021. For now, the national team, it is true that the national team is under construction. There are new players who need to make their mark and be able to highlight themselves. It is true that they are good in Europe, especially Nicolas Pepe, but they need more time to be able to build a team block as it was a few years ago. I think it is not bad, as you said. Perhaps it is to allow Ivory Coast to host this tournament and have the ambitions to win it. And that is what the Ivorians necessarily expect.
Thank you very much, Patrick Gite. I wish you an excellent week in Abidjan.
Thank you, we are together.
That was Patrick Gite, an Ivorian journalist who talked to us about the crisis that has shaken African football a little bit, but whose youth have been in the spotlight since Saturday in Niger with the start of the AFCON Under-20, and it is well on its way for the runner-up Senegal, who beat Mali 2-0, Nigeria 2 were 2-0 winners over Burundi. However, it was a stalemate for the host country Niger, who were held to a 1-1 draw by South Africa, as this table shows. And it is this Tuesday that the second day of the tournament begins. Of particular note was the clash in Group B between Senegal and Ghana on Wednesday. The group matches will continue until Saturday, when the final will be played on 17th February. Defending champions Zambia were unable to qualify for this year's edition. Meanwhile, preparations are underway for the qualifying rounds of the African Nations Championship, or CHAN 2020, scheduled for Ethiopia. The draw for the preliminary round took place last Wednesday, a long marathon in which 47 countries will take part, only 15 of which will join the host country Ethiopia in the final tournament. On the program, we will have an attractive Algeria-Morocco encounter in the northern zone. Here are the complete fixtures for the first round. We're already looking forward to it, but the date for the start of these CHAN 2020 qualifiers hasn't been set yet. As I told you in the introduction, TP Mazembe got back into the Champions League in explosive style. The Lubumbashi Ravens literally blew up the Tunisians, Club Africain, who were humiliated like never before. The score was 8-0, the largest win in the history of the competition, according to the African Football Confederation. And as a result, the Congolese leapfrogged their victims in a Group C dominated by CS Constantine, which has been exempt from playing due to Ismaili's disqualification. Al Ahly from Cairo scored 5-0 against Simba Sport of Tanzania. Let's follow the results and rankings at the end of day 2. As you can see, with 7 goals to their credit, Egypt's Al Ahly are the team that has scored the most points in this Champions League, a tournament that we are playing on the 4th day early next week. There will also be no match this week in the CAF Cup, which was its first day this weekend. And it started very strong in Group D with Gor Mahia full of character, victorious over Zamalek 4-2, and no winner in the Moroccan derby between Hassania Agadir and Raja de Casablanca. Let's look at the results and rankings together after this great first day. The second of this CAF Cup is next week, and we'll come back to it on our show next Monday. It was the only team from the 5 major European championships still undefeated in the league. Paris Saint-Germain fell on Sunday on the loan of Olympique Lyonnais. The Parisians were beaten 2-1 just like last year, and of course Neymar's shadow hovered over this encounter. The Brazilian has been missing in action, and Kylian Mbappé was not able to deliver his team.
Go to Barcelona and ask Valverde if it is complicated to play without Messi, and go to Juventus and ask if it's complicated to play without Ronaldo. It's complicated, yes, but we have to deal with it. We have to accept it because it is part of football. Last year, he was injured too, and it would be nice if we did not make the same mistakes as last season.
And with that, we come to the end of our program. There is more at Africanews.com. I look forward to seeing you next Monday and wish you an excellent week. Goodbye.
Au revoir.